Welcome, sports fans, to the Cardinal Report. Coach Kevin Bratland went back to his home state, bringing Cardinal wrestlers Gabe and Ben Ewell with him. North Central College left Cedar Rapids, Iowa as the 14th best team in Division III wrestling. Coach, finishing up the weekend, the team finishes 14th. Wartburg College, they won the team championships with 117.5 points. The Cardinals, you guys were ranked as high as 4th, 6th in the country this year. 14th place finish. Is it satisfying, or?
No, not really, but it's pretty tough to get a whole lot higher when you only have 2 guys wrestling at the national tournament when some other teams have as many as 9. It's just the way it is. It wasn't, team emphasis wasn't a huge thing when we got to the national tournament. It was just having these guys accomplish their goals. In order to start competing for trophies, you have to get more guys down there. You probably need at least 5 to compete for a trophy. You get a trophy with the top 4.
And Coach, people that look at it, they don't know any better. Your team finished 10th in the country your first year coaching, 9th your second year, and then drop off 5 spots to 14th this year. Would you say that it hasn't been a successful season for you, or is that the complete opposite?
No, it's the opposite. I think it's been a really successful season. That's just a reflection. When we finished a little bit higher, we had more guys there. We had 3 one year and 4 the next, and we've had and they were all Americans. So you're adding in points there. These guys, Ben finished the highest that anybody's finished in, 40 years or whatever it is, 50 years. And so I wouldn't say it's not a very successful year. It's just a matter of, we had the rankings during the year are actually dual rankings. We're a real solid team up and down the lineup. We don't have any weaknesses. And then, obviously this finish is a tournament finish. And when you're wrestling in a tournament, like I said, with only 2 guys, it's hard to score a lot of points.
So then a team that had 5 solid wrestlers, and let's say that's all they had, they would score better than a team that was solid up and down at the national tournament.
Yep, they may have 5 really good wrestlers and 5 poor wrestlers, and they're not going to be the greatest dual team, but as far as the tournament goes, or the national tournament goes, they're going to be awesome.
Do you feel, just real quick, there's a component missing then to the national championships? No,
they do have national duels. We went one year, a couple years ago. We're looking at going back this coming year and see what we can do. They'll place top 8 in the country, and I think we'll definitely be in contention and be in the top 8.
And when does that start?
That's actually, it's in January is when it is.
In January?
Yep.
All right, well, let's start off with one of your great wrestlers, Ben Ewell. He entered the tournament as a 3 seed. In the first round, in the 165-pound weight class, he defeated Vincent Renaud of the United States Merchant Marine Corps 8-6. That was his first loss all season?
Not that kid. The next kid was undefeated. That kid lost twice.
Okay, well then, the next round he took on the 6th-seeded and undefeated Michael Moran of the University of Southern Maine, 11-4. What was that matchup like, especially going into it? This is a kid that was undefeated.
Yeah, we knew he was undefeated. I don't know what kind of competition he had really faced. We knew he was going to be tough, but we matched up real well against him, and I just don't think he had seen the caliber of wrestling that Ben has seen, or even the caliber of wrestler that Ben is, and just the strength. I mean, Ben's a strong guy, and I think by looking at him, you wouldn't realize how strong he is until you actually start wrestling him.
Those first 2 wrestlers that we mentioned, those are both wrestlers from East Coast schools.
Yep.
Did they have similarities in style? And
yeah, it was hard because we didn't have we hadn't really seen a lot of those guys, so it's a little nerve-wracking that you don't know sometimes what to expect from a guy you haven't seen all the time. I knew. And really, our big philosophy, one of our big philosophies is conditioning. And I knew, stereotypically, people start chanting like East Coast timeout, and kids from the East Coast don't come in as good a shape as people like at North Central. And I knew that we had that on our side. And going down to in his first match, we won the match basically just on conditioning alone. The kid was just tired, like he had nothing left in the tank.
Yeah.
And I knew that going into the second match too, that might be the possibility as well. And once Ben took a commanding lead, and then I knew that kid couldn't come back. He didn't have the energy.
In those situations, a lot of takedown points?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Well then, so Ben won the first round and second round. He went to the semifinals to take on the number 2 seed, Ben Hoover of Maranatha. We've talked about this guy all year. Ben won 7-5. That was his second win in 3 matches against Hoover?
Yeah, I think it was 12-3, I think. Something like that was the score. I believe, if I remember correctly. He got beat 7-5 or 7-5 at regionals by him, and then he majored him, I think, at the national tournament. And Ben Hoover's a great kid. He's a great wrestler, and he was in the national finals last year. And he's just dangerous, and he's a great scrambler. And you know, we knew if Ben went out and got the first takedown, and just again, you know, conditioning comes into play with a kid like that. Being from Maranatha, not a traditionally strong wrestling school, and I think that's in our favor. You know, coming from North Central, we got great workout partners, and his conditioning level is just, you know, superb. And Ben actually out-scrambled him in that match, and just really, you know, took it to him. You know.
Then, so 3 matches under his belt, made it all the way to the championship match to take on the top-seeded Justin Hansen of Wartburg College. This is another wrestler that Ben had faced twice earlier in the season?
They had split throughout the year. Ben actually beat him last year at Nationals as well, and it's kind of funny because that kid went to my high school, and his parents are friends with my parents, and so, you know, it's always difficult too. But we had every opportunity, and actually that's probably the best I've ever seen Justin Hansen, the kid from Wartburg, wrestle. You know, you have to hand it to him. He wrestled a great match, and you know, it's just the way it is.
And Hansen won that one 7-3
in
the championship match. Now, Gabe, he was a 4th seed entering the 184-pound weight class, and in the first round, he had Sam Leas of Lawrence University. He won that 9-6. Leas, the same guy he beat at the North Central College.
We had seen him before, so you know, I wasn't too worried. I mean, he's a great wrestler, but you know, I knew Gabe was going to get the upper hand in that one.
And then in round 2 was the 5th seed, Josh Zabel of University of Wisconsin La Crosse. Zabel won that one 5-2. That sent Gabe to the Russellbacks. I got to think the Russellbacks, it's tough to make it out of there.
It's real tough. Coming off just any type of loss at the national tournament is hard. You know, especially when your goal is to be in the national finals and be a national champ. When you realize you can't reach that goal, it's really hard to come back. But Gabe did a great job. You know, refocused and set a new goal, and you know, did what he had to do.
Yeah, in the next matchup in the Russellbacks, he took on Matthew Horn of Muhlenberg College in Pennsylvania and won that one 10-3. And then on Saturday, he took on the A-seeded Dustin Baxter of St. John's University of Minnesota. That one went to overtime, where Gabe won 3-1 with a takedown. Yeah,
Gabe had actually just lost to him in overtime 2 weeks before our regionals, the true second match, and Gabe wrestled, was real aggressive, had, you know, controlled the whole match, was the aggressor throughout the whole match, and just blasted him with a huge double in overtime. Took him down. And then he lost to Zabel then in the 3rd place match 4-0. The same guy that sent him back to the Russellbacks. How tough is it to wrestle the same guy in 2 days? It's pretty tough. It's you know, the guy just beat you, and you got to go and wrestle him again. And again, you know, Zabel or Zabel, however you say his name, just he had a great tournament, and you know, you just got to hand it to him for wrestling well. And well, Coach, it's like we always say, there's always that one moment, a Cardinal crusher. Did you kind of feel like Friday or Saturday there's that one moment where you thought the guys were doing really well, or maybe could have done a little bit better? I think they wrestled great as a whole. You know, the one big move that stands in my mind, like I just said, against that Baxter, and when Gabe took him down in overtime, it's a pretty big, pretty powerful move there at that point. So, up next for you, season's finished. Now it's on to recruiting. Is wrestling as popular as it was 10 years ago in your mind? I would say it's as popular. It's just, I don't know. I'm from Iowa, and I think that's all anybody does there is live and breathe wrestling. In the Chicago area, it's a little bit different. Division III wrestling isn't as known because there's not as many schools. In Iowa, there might be, I think there's like 8 or 9, you know, Division III schools that are all fairly successful. And you know, in the suburbs here and in the Chicago area, there's not as many. So people may not look at Division III as being as high caliber as some of the other divisions, and that's, you know, not the case at all. Do you feel for those athletes that are maybe in between going to a big school and not wrestling, or staying at a smaller school and wrestling? Do you have any advice for those wrestlers? I mean, if it's your goal and you want to go Division I, and if you can get a scholarship, then by all means, you know, take that road and try it out. But you know, if it doesn't work out for you, or you're undecided, or even you're not getting a scholarship, you know, maybe you haven't reached that level yet, I don't think it's a disgrace at all to go to Division III. And for people that have been in Division III and that have watched Division III and have been to the Division III national tournament, you know, there's great wrestling, and there's some great competitors and great athletes. And so I think, you know, if people still have that that drive to want to wrestle after high school, Division III is a great outlet.
Absolutely. Stay tuned, Redbird fans, as Cardinal 165-pounder Ben Ewell and 184-pounder Gabe Ewell join us to talk all things Cardinal wrestling. We'll be right back.